What's up, everybody? Welcome to Aged Out Reacts with the two hosts of the Aged Out podcast, Mike Fantini and
Evan Worrell.
And make sure you hit subscribe on the YouTube channel, like the videos if you like the content we're putting out. You know, tell your friends about it. Keep spreading the word like you all always do and have been throughout the existence of all this. Make sure you check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you know, all that good stuff. Now, today, we're joined by a guest who Evan had the pleasure of marching with, and Evan and I have known for quite a while. Chris Garay. What's up, man? You there?
Hey, thanks for having me.
No, thanks for joining us.
Spreading the love all the way out from DC.
Yep.
Yeah, excited to be here. Got some East Coast going on.
Uh-huh.
We've had a pretty good, I don't know, actually, Mike and I were talking about this the other day. I think we've done a pretty good job of spreading East Coast, West Coast, Texas, like Missouri. I don't know. We're trying to hit all the spots.
Yeah, got to get a little bit of everybody.
Yep, that's the goal. So let's just jump right into it. But before we jump into the videos today, the original videos we're reacting to belong to Drumline Archives and DrumlineAV. So make sure you go support them, subscribe to their channels, check out their content. Quality drum videos, drumline lot videos put up by both of those channels. So today we're going to be going down memory lane, hitting a few different Bluecoats lots, I guess, through the early and mid 2000s. So we're going to start with 05, then we're going to do a short video of 06, which that summer, Chris, you were marching with the cadets, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he competed against that group, and then he ended up marching Bluecoats in 07, and then we'll end with a video of Bluecoats in 08. His age out, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. So you guys ready?
Let's do it.
Do it.
All right, let's jump in.
Watch some Jay Bricks and Jared Thomas.
Yeah, as you all
Yeah,
can
this
see
line
now.
was stacked. Eric Shriver.
Dude, yeah. There's a lot of people in this that have taught a lot of really good ensembles. Or
top
are
really
still
good ensembles, and ironically, we've had 3 people in this snare line on the podcast. So Eric Shriver's right there. Josh Brickey's right there, and is this one
Jared's
Thomas?
on Eric's left. Yeah.
Jared, yeah.
Yeah, there's Jared Thomas. So, all right, let's jump into this. Of course, Mike McIntosh up here looking awesome.
Great snare textures.
Yep.
Dude, those drums sound crispy.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Those Yamahas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, this stuff is so tasty in the show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Those gut
Little
rolls.
top bass roll supporting the snare. Mike Medeo down on bass 5. Great example of Max writing being effective but minimal when it needs to be, and then when it's exposed, just tons of notes.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I was just about to say that.
Dude, he's the king of just like the 1E. Chicka, chicka, chicka.
Yep.
As I was telling you guys before we started recording, I was actually in this lot watching.
Yeah, I left out some of your core experience. You marched where in 05
Yeah.
and 06?
I marched in 2004, 2005. I marched Jersey Surf, so we were Division II before it split off into world class, open class, and so that I think this might have been a finals lot. So I was done with my summer, and we had time to just go watch the big boys compete. And I had been following Bluecoats 05 all summer, and watching their lots and so on. So I was probably literally about 10 feet from this person holding this camera.
Nice.
That's pretty
Wild.
sick.
So
Yeah,
I want to
We're reliving the Chris Garay vantage point.
Yep.
I want to rewind a few seconds because I want to hear the gut stuff the snares just played right there and point out how difficult and the touch required to play those threes and the things they just did at the gut right there. And I'll point out these are the days before the gut edge was the hot place to play at the edge of the drum.
Dude, I love the front edge.
I mean, even that quad phrase right there just requires so much touch to play at the levels they just did.
And that quad tuning here, real quick pause before the snares come in. That quad tuning to me reminds me of almost like the early 2000s Cavalier lines that Mac taught. And I almost feel like the quad tuning has shifted to probably a bit more full or deeper sound in the past, decade. But it does kind of, it pops a little bit with that tuning.
Yeah, I like it. It's really a true mid voice. Sometimes now the quad tuning, especially on the lower drums, kind of bleeds into the bass drum voicing, in my opinion, for recent years of DCI.
Yeah.
Like those threes right there.
Yeah, those putted at threes.
Like played it so well. Shirley Murphy's, I guess those would have been. I don't know. Quite a bus roll. I love this part.
Dude, they're using the whole drum.
Uh-huh.
A little like left drag there.
Yeah, no one's perfect. We still love them.
Yay.
This was body in the lot back then.
Oh yeah, this was the cutting edge. Holy shit. Woo! Oh my god.
I actually learned that lick. It was in the packet when I auditioned for Bluecoats for the summer of 07.
This is also to be a classic back phrase.
Inverted cheeses.
I definitely learned this drunken music at some point as well.
Ooh.
Ooh. So pause.
Ooh, coming all the way back.
Oh,
man.
Yeah. Go back.
We
Go
should
back.
listen to that again. But I was sitting inside the stadium for finals, and I was probably 20 rows behind where the drum staff was sitting. And that snare phrase, that kind of like decrescendo triplet roll, a couple eighth notes, crescendo triplet roll, they nailed it. And you can hear on the recording, Mac just shout, "Yeah!" because he was so pumped that they nailed it. And it just spoke like all the way to the top of the stands.
That's awesome.
That's sick.
All right, yeah.
That's like one of the things that made me want to march there, was that he was so pumped about the line playing well.
Dude, give it up for your guys.
Yes, sir. Yeah. All right, let's hear that again. Oh my god.
Oof, that paradiddle diddle in the middle of it,
you
too.
got the PDD in the middle of it, decrescendo, and they do it again, back to the center. It's
beautiful.
Just, and Chris, you said it earlier, Mac is so good about being effective and picking his spots where he like smacks you with a really hard phrase. Like when I listen to
I mean, that whole drum break that we just heard before, especially in 05 and the way it was staged on the field. I mean, I remember watching that and just be like, no one is doing things like this.
No.
It was and that was the exposed moment. And then of course when he's supporting, the horn line or whatnot, it can be what it needs to be for the full core.
Yep. All right. Let's finish this one out real quick and move on to 06.
Yeah, Mike Medeo, bass 5. He marched 5 years in the Bluecoats bass line.
Jeez, that's so much drum corps. I mean,
and he didn't even march his age out, technically, yeah. I think Joel Hilbert's in this line, too.
Oh, he is, actually. You're right.
Incredible snare drummer and drum set player.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out where he is. I think this is him right
one
here.
in from the right.
I think there, yeah.
Yeah, Joel taught me at
Because he actually was young.
He was a phenomenal teacher, too. This summer I was taught by him.
Yeah, Joel is possibly one of the, from all the people who I've marched with, because I never had the chance to march with Joel, but everyone who I've spoken with said that Joel's maybe one of the best players they marched with.
Oh, man. He was, even in 2010, he had aged out in 08, I think, was his age out at Cadets.
Yeah.
He would play stuff, and it's like, dude, you aged out 2 years. I mean, 2 years really isn't that long, I guess, when you age out to still be able to throw down, but he would play stuff. It's just like, dude, your hands are just consistent as all get out. Like, it was just perfect from start to finish, everything he played.
And he actually plays drum set for cruise ships nowadays, and he's killer. He's great.
I've seen he's been posting some videos on Facebook that I've seen that are really cool. I think he started a YouTube channel, so go check out Joel Hilbert on YouTube for some sick drum set stuff. All right, little plug right there. Let's go into 06.
06, this is such a great line and great book.
10-man snares.
Yep, I didn't know they had 10 until we actually picked this video.
This is a classic Mac pose right now.
Oh, yep. If you watch Cavi's 2011 in the line, he's laying in the exact same position.
This line had a lot of vets in 05.
Was there a lot of, you said it was a lot of vets from 05?
Yeah, so basically, from what I understand, at least, like 05, 06, there was a lot of carryover. A lot of us were new in 07, and then 07, 08, there was a lot of carryover.
This is a risky setup. You have the zoom shot, just like full extension, like so much prep time where it could go wrong, and this shot is immaculate.
Really
I love it.
Oh, I'm backing up. And doing that.
Did you see Mac just lay down?
Let's try that again.
Just watch him doing the shot.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this line moved. I said this about 05 as well, but they moved their arms through space better than most groups did back then.
Well, you didn't see a lot of groups play with that kind of arm movement at all in 05.
It was definitely rare back then.
Eric Shriver back as the center again. Oh, those Mac rolls are perfect.
And the tuning too.
Oh, so
yeah.
Speaks.
I remember they had something happen with those bass drummers they lost before.
Yeah, they only have 4.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. You're right.
Woo!
These rolls. Again, that control at the edge.
The touch, man.
And they're moving from the edge to the center.
Look at him just waving them on.
So here, while we're paused here, the
go ahead.
bass drums, they had 5 until late July, and I want to say one of them got, I want to say it was like a spider bite or something crazy, and he couldn't march. It was like on his foot or his leg or something, and I think it was bass 4. No, maybe it was bass 5. It was bass 5. So Medeo was on bass 4, basically took an hour and said, okay, I got it, and filled in all his notes. And then they took like an hour to fill in the drill. And by the regional, which was, I think, a day later, they had it fixed. And that was it. That was the rest of the season, 4 bass.
I've heard
I
of,
love
I've heard of
like
that happening to multiple bass lines. And it's like, oh, this one bass drummer just picked up the other one's parts. It's like in an hour. It's like, how is that possible? I guess to play bass drum in a bass line, you have to know everybody else's parts and know the whole phrase. So I guess it shouldn't be that crazy, but it's always blown my mind how so many high-level bass drummers can just do that. It's like, oh, yeah, I'll cover his notes for him. Jeez.
Yeah, it's impressive.
But yeah,
we should back up the video at least 10 or 15, because the way this phrase builds and the way they sneak in some duple rolls there and the singles, it's amazing.
Those threes moving from the edge to the center. So good. Oh, their shots are so in there.
Hitting those ping zones.
Open shots.
On the stick there.
Those open shots.
There's something about the somewhat low quality audio that makes the snare sound a little bit more dry.
Right. Ooh, another one.
Beautiful.
I think Mac's dead. He's just like, nope, can't handle it.
Ooh, bass.
Singles, splits there.
Slow book reports.
Yeah, dude. The way they change. Hold on, pause.
Yeah.
The way that he writes creates such demand, and like the gear shifts and the finger dexterity shifts and the pressure point shifts, going from like fast triplet rolls into like some open double crescendo rolls. Like you just really have to open up the hands, and everybody's got to learn to control it the same way. Like I remember the first time I learned that meter diddle roll or exercise that they used for many years, and I was just like, this is really hard.
And I feel like with a lot of the phrasing and the vocabulary that Mac writes, particularly for like the snare voice, you will hear it, and you wouldn't necessarily expect it to look the way it sounds, or maybe just whether it's sticking or the way things are moving, and it just becomes like when you watch it, in addition to hearing it, obviously, it becomes its own thing, because the way it looks and the way it sounds combine and blend and become this new aesthetic.
For sure.
All right, let me open up the next one here. There we go.
there it is.
Speaking of great sounds.
Just keeping it consistent for the podcast, you know. Someone's got to be drinking a beer.
Let the can resonate.
All right, here we go.
Giving them a clap.
They deserve it.
That was great.
Yeah.
They deserve it.
Yeah, these years of Bluecoats, 05, 06, 07, 08, all these Mac years, really, I feel like just opened up the world to the Bluecoats organization and created a lot of the hype and the buzz that they still carry today. Obviously, they've sustained excellence on their own since he's been gone, but I feel like he just really paved the way for people being like, I want to go march Bluecoats. They have just such a swagger
the swag
and a vibe about them.
The swag of the Bluecoats
Especially,
definitely started in these years.
Especially these last 2 years, 07, 08. Maybe a little too much swag at times.
Possibly.
So maybe as a transition in so in 06, like Mike mentioned, I was marching cadets, and I had a great summer there. There was separate stories about cadets 06, but whole summer competing against Bluecoats. They were incredible, and they had a great drumline and battery section, and I think it was semifinals night. The Corps beat cadets for the first time all summer, I think. And I remember sitting on like a hill near all the buses, like near the stadium, and I just looked over and I saw Justin Lewis like drumming on a pad, just kind of hanging out. I was maybe like talking to someone on the phone, and he and I, like, that's how we met. And I just went up, said hi. We started talking. Hey, you're Bluecoats, I'm cadets. And he was like, hey, I guess it's kind of wild. Like, I guess we kind of beat you tonight. We're kind of chilling. And then, about 3 or 4 months later, I like show up in the Bluecoats audition room. He's like, what the hell are you doing here? So it ended up being kind of a funny transition.
Actually, Evan and I both know your section leader from 06, Seth Whitaker.
Oh, yeah.
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 I've taught with Seth a little bit in Louisville here.
I mean, incredible player, right? Like Cadets 05, part of like maybe one of the best, both shows and drum lines in a long time.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was my center snare in 06.
Small world. All right, so this video of Bluecoats 08 is the drum break, I believe. It's a quick little 2-minute video. So it's very iconic. I think you called it iconic as we were picking the videos before recording. So
I was in this lot.
I think I was
full
too,
circle.
Actually. I think I was too as a junior.
And this is the last
Yeah.
year that that DCI was not in
a dome.
Lucas
in the
Oil.
dome, in Indianapolis. We were in Bloomington on Indiana University's campus.
Dude, this was an awesome lot too. I got to see so many great groups.
Yep. All right, let's dive right in.
I miss outdoor band.
A little wide there on one of those, but still, that was a groundbreaking bass feature too at the time as well.
It really was, yeah. That many single partials and that exposed.
Yeah.
And that readable.
For those that don't know, that's Chris right there.
Great quad sounds. Ben Piles on the far right. Arranger for Virtual Arts and Monarch.
I was going to say he's the Monarch guy, isn't he?
Yep.
Oof, those sweeps are smooth.
Smooth as butter.
Oof,
I love this drum break so
letting those
much.
shots rebound.
Yep.
So here we do a quick pause there.
Yeah.
As
Got the
Justin
sticks
brings
up
the
too early.
up.
We're going to watch it again. I
like-
missed it. I want to see it. So
I like
continue.
that because I think when Justin went on to teach at Blue Stars, the Blue Stars snare line brought their sticks up early. Not early, but as a visual to honor Justin's stick a lot.
That's awesome.
So one interesting thing about the snare phrase on the rim is that at move-ins earlier that year, we actually were supposed to have mounted these little ceramic tiles. It's actually similar to what Cavaliers mounted in 04 for the James Bond show.
Oh,
And
okay.
quite literally, I mean, maybe, you can go to the staff and see what their perspective was, but from the members' perspective, the only reason we ended up not doing that is because we just couldn't figure out how to mount them and have them stay on the drum. I mean, we went through all these different systems, and we always like to joke that it was just because we played harder than Cavaliers played, but the little bits of tile, they just kept falling and moving. So almost all of the rim stuff and like 75% of the rim shots were actually meant to be this like ceramic tile sound. And then by, late or early June, we just had to, it was like we took a block where we just had to take that stuff out and then put it on the rim and play a ton of rim shots.
I'd like, screw it, just play rim shots.
I want to rewind. There we go.
Here it is. Sticks up. He also stopped marking time.
He paused.
So these rolls.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a story to these rolls, isn't there? Here, we'll pause in a sec. We'll let the phrase finish.
Yeah.
All right, you can go ahead.
Yeah. So those solo rolls coming out of all that, rim stuff. I think it was still at move-ins, and we had a snare subsectional with Tim Maynard, who is a fantastic, snare tech. He honestly taught, I think, some of the best snare lines in that era, both at Mystique and at Bluecoats. And we started playing this phrase, and he goes, all right, Niles, I want you to play a roll, from count 2 to count 4 there. And then he points down the line, Brian, I want you to play a roll, count 3 to count 1 there. And it's seemingly very random. And we're like, wow, this sounds pretty cool. And then, if you notice, Justin doesn't have a roll, I don't have a roll, maybe Nick Taylor. And we're just like, man, this sucks. I want to play a roll. And we realized that the reason the individuals were chosen was because the prior night, those of us who did not get a roll were caught after lights out outside. So we were being disciplined. So we were, I don't know, we were just hanging out outside after lights out, and they, must have told the staff like, hey, these 4 or 5 of us or whoever were breaking the rules. So the next day they added rolls to the drum break to everyone who was not caught breaking the rules.
That's awesome.
And that's just a glimpse into the chaos that was the Bluecoats 2008 summer in the battery
I was going to
section.
say, that sounds very tame comparatively.
Yeah, I know. I've heard some things. You all were some wild childs.
There was a few rules that were changed after the 2008 summer at Bluecoats, probably for the better.
We can talk about those after we're done recording here in a few minutes. All right, I want to rewind that a little bit, and then we'll keep going.
The roll-less Chris Garay.
Yep.
Give me a right.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw that. Hold on, pause. We can go back too, because I don't want to talk through this. But the first time I saw it, I was like, what is this? Like, why are they doing this? But then when I saw the show, I was like, oh, okay, like the right hand, left hand, like the boxer, makes very much thematic sense with the show.
And I always thought it was interesting too, because, we just watched 0506, and I feel like the overall show concept, and thus the battery music, was meant to be a bit more, painting an image and creating like a setting and a tone. Whereas in 07, 08, we had quite like literal moments. In 07, it was criminal, and we had these like hands up, and we were doing all these types of things that were supposed to set the storyline for the criminal. And then in 08, we're boxing. Like there's, the bass drum, this whole video is like very literal effects.
Yeah.
Well, those right-hand doubles are a little
wide.
suspect.
I know,
little
I'm
suspect.
gonna call it out of different.
Little suspect. Oh,
Oof, I was in there.
Jinx.
This is a Colorado slam drag. After
All this stuff was on the prop, right?
Yeah. I'll tell you that story in a second too.
We got to save something for the podcast, Chris. Come on now. Got to give people a reason to listen to that too.
This was also, again, like the most body in a lot that I had ever done up until that point.
Man, drum corps is so different
Which
now.
is funny now.
It's so wild.
So here, quick pause on the notes that we had been playing on the rim and all the kind of stuff there. We were on the field. We had these speed bags, and that chunk changed every week all summer. And it's kind of a shame that maybe it's not more widely known that chunk is like on the speed bag. It's hard to find close-up clips of that. But we had like behind the back notes, and we were like spinning. And it was actually kind of a cool moment. but then in the lot, we're just kind of like playing the rim. It looks kind of silly, you know?
I think there are some like videos on YouTube now that were from the innovative videos they took when they went with you guys for the day. So
yeah, at rehearsal, right?
Yeah, I think they're out there, but yeah, where you're doing like all the behind the back, like hitting the prop with the sticks, and now you're just playing on the rim.
Yeah. It looked way cooler when you're actually doing the the thing that it was meant to be.
All right, let's knock the rest of this out real quick.
It was a great bass line.
Oof.
Playing way too hard right now.
Laying into him.
So now that visual, Evan, you got to do a couple years later, right? Or the next summer.
The next summer, put in probably by Brian, who was in that line with you.
The first time we did that visual in rehearsal, we were nervous because we figured it was going to get taken out. And we did it. And then Ron Harden, the visual caption head, comes over the mic and ensemble goes, "Hey, Snares." I'm like, "Uh-oh." He goes, "Hey, can you make that visual on count 3 instead of count 2? We're like, yeah. We thought it would get taken out for sure, but I guess it fit with the horns down, so they let us do it.
All right, so very short answer to this question that we'll end on, and we'll talk more about this when we record this your podcast in the future here. What was a better drumline, 07 or 08 Bluecoats? Just the short version. We'll get into it more later.
The short version, I would say, is that the book was harder in 08, and I think we probably had a few less ticks on finals in 08, but I think the 07 clean was very clean. And I think the 07, the show and the core and everything was also really excellent.
All right. We'll leave it at that for now. Make sure you all check out the podcast, which is going to come out a week after this reaction video. So be on the lookout for that to hear the rest of that stuff. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Chris, it's been awesome getting to talk to you, hang out a little bit. Again, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, spread the word, share the video, other videos you like of ours. Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and now I am done rambling, so we'll close this out. See you guys next time.
Peace.